Hi, I'm Kalki and I'm presenting My Indian Life from the BBC World Service. The episodes in Season 3 provoke a lot of emotions. There's a lot of stories which are raw, painful and joyful, and it has been a privilege for me to bring them to you. And I would love for you to share them with your friends and to leave your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for listening.
Ariva was so excited. It was the day of the school singing competition. Every child in his class in the town of Arakkanam, 70 kilometers west of Chennai, was asked to pick a poem or a song from an ancient Tamil text and set it to the music of their choice. Most students chose to compose their songs in Carnatic music ragas, but Ariva was different. First, he decided he wasn't going to choose a poem or a song from an ancient text.
In the one night, I decided to write one song, and I wrote a song about my school. But it was fun.
And unlike most of his classmates, he picked an old Ghana tune, to which he added his original lyrics. Now, Ghana is a local street music genre, popular in Chennai, most commonly performed at funerals. And it's quite diverse. It has rap, some very interesting beats, and also some elements of folk music mixed together. Very, very different from traditional Carnatic classical music.
The next day, I presented it in my school, school singing competition. Everyone was surprised.
As he finished performing his song, Ariva realized something was wrong. People clapped, of course, but the school management looked angry. They pulled him off stage, shouted at him, and Ariva even remembers getting some beatings.
They thought I'm teasing everyone, but I didn't tease. I tried to, entertain them.
Ariva's teachers thought that he was mocking them by choosing a Ghana tune for his song. Ghana was a low-brow genre, the music of the streets. So there's a strange and arbitrary hierarchy when it comes to music in South India. Classical music is considered to be right at the top of this hierarchy, and a genre like Ghana, well, nearer the bottom. But young Arivu just wanted to entertain. He simply chose a genre that he thought everyone would enjoy and could relate to.
But they took it wrongly and they condemned me, saying that hereafter there will not be any singing competition in the school history forever because of this thing you did today.
Ariva didn't know that day, and neither did his teachers and classmates, that one day this little boy would go on to not just make a career in music, but become among the most celebrated Tamil rappers in India. Little did they know that one day, young people in Tamil Nadu would look up to him as their music icon. This is the story of a man who went from being shunned for his musical ideas to a pop culture star. I'm Kalki Kekla. From the BBC World Service, this is Kalki Presents My Indian Life, the podcast about being young and Indian in the 21st century. Season 3, Episode 5, Power of Song. When he was a child, Ariva's parents did everything they could to protect him from the world and the society he was going to grow up in. They didn't want him to face any discrimination because of his caste. Ariva is from the Dalit community.
I won't say that I've experienced as much as my father and mother or my ancestors did, but it's actually I'm unique in my place. I'm because since both of my parents were teachers, they were very much aware that how to avoid such circumstances. How to not get discriminated like that. There is a strategy for for that.
Part of that strategy meant following a few rules in the housing colony that he lived in, and sometimes in his own home. Arivu remembers this instruction his mother would often give him.
She will say, don't sit in the middle of the house and eat beef because people will come and, basically she'll say they'll kannu veppangannu solluvaanga.
Kanna Vepanga. People will cast an evil eye.
But it's not about that. It's a caste thing.
This caste thing was his mother's way of stopping her child from doing something that might get them into trouble. Where they lived, and for that matter in many parts of our country today, cooking or eating beef could get them evicted and in a lot of trouble. Landlords would wait for them to slip up in the smallest ways and make things very difficult.
Like the house owner will come and check what curry we are cooking. but it's in an indirect way. They'll come and sneak into house, doing smell. Oh, if they are cooking beef, they will throw us out someday, not immediately.
Caste and caste markers surrounded Arivu when he was growing up. Sometimes they were easily visible, but mostly people's feelings towards Dalits were revealed in an offhand word someone used, or even just the way he was looked at. We've got a term for it today: casual casteism. The humiliation, being untouchable as the Dalits are often described, of being ostracized followed quickly after.
As a, அது எப்படி சொல்ல தமிழ்ல சொல்ல
Tamil solunga. We're just switching to Tamil for this part of the conversation.
அதாவது சாதி என்பது வந்து ஒரு
He says he can't pinpoint and say that it was because of a particular incident that he experienced caste discrimination. It's closer to a feeling, how they make you feel about the caste you belong to.
அதான் பார்க்க முடியாது. இப்போ my food is different from my friend's food, so his face changes. Every day it happens. So my house is, I have no house. My friend has a big house. So when he asks me, where is your house? When I say my house is there, his face changes.
Once when he was in 11th standard, Ariva got into a fight with his classmate.
Kids in school get into fights quite often, and they happen for the smallest of reasons, like, someone took my pen without asking me permission and so on. But once, I had just finished an argument with my classmate, and this teacher from my school came to me and said, "You've shown everyone your true character after all."
When Ariva looked perplexed, the teacher said that he had expected this from Ariva. To him, it was just a matter of time.
I went back and cried a lot that day.
Ariva ran home and asked his parents for explanations.
How was I a hooligan? My father is a college professor and my mother's a teacher. How could I be rowdy? I had never behaved that way.
Many years later, Ariva believed that his teacher's opinion and the treatment he says he received was because he was a Dalit.
He believed that anyone who came from the housing colony that I lived in back then was a hooligan. He believed that me getting admission into that school itself was a mistake.
Ariva was constantly perplexed by how different his parents' behavior was towards their Dalit students.
Like my mother used to carry lunch to her students.
She would do that because some of her students may not have eaten anything in the morning, and lunch would be served many hours later. So she would pack some food to tide them over.
Ariva's parents were part of a volunteer literacy and education movement in the 90s called Arivali Iyakam, which when literally translated means the light of knowledge. This was a movement to teach basic science and literacy to villagers and the urban poor in the cities around Chennai. This was in fact where Ariva's parents first met and fell in love.
So when I'm born, my parents named me Arivuli and then Arivu Karasu and then shortened it to Arivarasu. And I shortened it to Arivu.
It was a name that was weighty and had a huge meaning attached to it. In fact, when he was young, Ariva was a little hesitant to say his name out loud.
The Arivu is, the meaning of the name directly refers to Arivu means knowledge. So people will say Arivu irka liya, which means
People would call up his house and say, is knowledge here? And his dad would indulge them in reply by saying, well, that depends on who needs it.
So to avoid that, damaging joke, I will be like, okay.
You wanted to remain cool.
Yeah, I know. I would like usually say name and all. But now I'm like happy with it.
Growing up, Ariva didn't have a television in his house. They could certainly afford it, but his parents strongly believed that what they called the idiot box was a corrupting influence. But this created a problem for Ariva at school, especially when his classmates would discuss the latest movie song or Sachin Tendulkar's six in a recent match. But Ariva devised an interesting strategy to fit in with his classmates. He'd pretend that he knew what they were talking about and hoped that his acting skills would save him from embarrassment. He'd also read every newspaper that was delivered home, especially the Tamil newspapers. So he would see a picture of Sachin Tendulkar hitting the six before he went to school, and when his classmates discussed cricket, he'd just make up the rest. This lack of time in front of the television meant that Ariva also spent a lot of time reading books. When he read the newspaper, he'd read from cover to cover, including the matrimonial and real estate ads. Gradually, he fell in love with the Tamil language and started writing small poems and songs of his own.
Fifth, sixth standard itself, like I started write. There will be some here and there. There will be some poem competitions, writing. Small competitions will happen. No, I'll try to take part in that, but never a winner. But I always try to attempt it.
Yeah. It was only when he was in engineering college that his songwriting skills really took off. Even in college, one of the first songs that he chose to sing was a Ghana song, just like in the school competition.
There was also like classical music and kind of cinema songs were expected, but we did one local Ghana song which I liked.
And this time round, instead of being punished, applause.
So that was a moment which gave me opening in my college days.
In fact, his professors were so sure he would become a musician that they would tease him about wasting his time studying engineering. But as much as he enjoyed music, Arivu had other plans. He had wanted to join the administrative services and started preparing hard for it. But that's what's fascinating about these well laid out plans, right? Sometimes when something is not meant to be, it's just not meant to be. A few months after he started preparing for the administrative services exams, music came back into Arivu's life again, and this time he wasn't going to be able to say no. Arivu met Pa Ranjit, a renowned filmmaker known for his anti-caste politics, activism, and cinema. Ranjit wanted to start a music band called the Casteless Collective, a name inspired by the phrase Jadi Illada Tamilargal. Tamils without a caste, coined by an anti-caste activist and writer called Ayodhi Das. In his time, Das had urged Dalits across Tamil Nadu to, among other things, leave the caste column blank while filling out government forms. So, Ranjit wanted to start this band, and he wanted this band to engage with issues of social justice in Tamil Nadu. He decided to audition singers and songwriters for it. Arivu had heard about Ranjit's work and had been a huge fan. He decided to try his luck.
Basically, my aim, because my route was different. I thought I will attend that audition and I will get back to studies. But I got selected. And then he told me, you can be a songwriter. And he said, you can write for this band. That gave me a very big confidence actually, because since from young age I have written many songs, but I've never shown it to many people. Only when I feel it's the most best, I will share it to some of my few friends.
At the audition, Arivu felt that he was able to give voice to a lot of things that he had been bottling up for years. His anger against the caste system, his life experiences, his helplessness, his desire to do something to change society's treatment of Dalits. With this band, it felt like he had finally found a community of like-minded folks, and it reconnected him with his passion for music.
At that point in that audition, when I spoke about my ideologies and how I grew up and what I want to do with my art, director Pa Ranjit was really happy selecting me inside the band. And I think that's the point my life turned to become as a musician.
Arivu's pen had found a voice, and he got to work writing songs for the band. In just 10 days, he had nearly 15 songs. For the little child whose Ghana song was stopped in school, this felt like freedom. Perhaps even justice, because within no time, the Casteless Collective became widely popular. People packed their concerts, and this 19-piece band with 4 rappers, 7 instrumentalists, and 8 Ghana musicians started gaining a huge fan following. The band's YouTube page has well over 100,000 subscribers today. This is what a Casteless Collective performance sounds like. That's Arivu introducing the song they're about to perform. It's the story of social reformer B.R. Ambedkar's life, narrated in a rap song. But we mustn't forget that Arivu's original plan was actually to be in the band for only a month and then go back and continue preparing for his exams.
Because I paid fees for the coaching center. My parents paid fees for the coaching center. I should not cheat them. Again and again, I should not hurt them, because they paid for my engineering, paid for my MBA, paid for my civil service. And this is my last option to, prove myself to my family, basically.
But life played with his last option and took another twist for him yet again. Pa Ranjit asked Arivu if he could write a poem about land rights.
Since from my childhood, I've heard stories about landlessness. I grew up in a rented house. We didn't own a house until I'm like 25 years old.
So Arivu went back to his own life to find inspiration for the poem. The fear of being evicted because of a dish they were cooking, the way they lived, or just who they were. After a few days, Arivu sent Ranjit a draft of a poem. He loved it and said, "I'll send you a tune. Can you expand this poem into a song?" Arivu did, and that song became part of the soundtrack for the hit movie Kala, featuring the mega superstar Rajnikant in the lead role.
The song goes like, எவனோ வந்து விதைச்சான் அதை எவனோ வந்து அறுத்தான் ரொம்ப கருத்தா அதை வளர்த்த இவன் பசியா துடிச்சான், which means someone sowed the seed, someone ate the benefit, but the person who every day worked on the field and watched it grow is still hungry.
It is quite rare to hear such meaningful lyrics in commercial movies, and clearly it made a great impact on the audience and they found it refreshing. Arivu's song in that film marked his musical debut on a much bigger stage. Now there was no looking back. He finally had to accept that music was his destiny and that he had a right to follow his passion just as much as anyone else. His music has a refreshing sound and is unabashedly political. One of the emotions that often drives Arivu's writing is anger, like when he wrote Vanakkam Virus during the COVID pandemic. It was after he saw thousands of migrant workers walking back home to their villages during the lockdown. The announcement of the lockdown had been sudden, and there was just no way they could get home.
When I saw people walking towards to their houses from Delhi to Mumbai, I was crying at my house and I wrote one song about Vanakkam Virus. So the virus doesn't know that India is a caste society. So whichever you do will affect my people only. Will affect the baseline of the society.
As I heard him talk, I realized that for Arivu, music is a vessel that can carry not just his anger, but the anger of generations of Dalits and other oppressed communities. And he's far from done voicing that anger.
If a privileged person has a very bit of a talent, he will just have a small piece of a talent. They will enlarge it, they will zoom it, and they will show it to the world. But if an oppressed caste guy or if a person from a underprivileged background has some amazing talent, they won't be accepted here easily. So this has happened to millions of people. This is happening to millions of people.
This was Arivu's own story. Back when he was in college, his father was reluctant to encourage him to become a musician. He was worried that as a Dalit, there was no way he could afford a non-traditional job, not when the odds are stacked so terribly against him.
I felt it was right because so many of our elders were denied the opportunity, even though they are deserving, just because of their caste and just because of where they come from. So that fear automatically came to my parents as well. So they said, okay, we are first generation of scholars in the entire family.
Arivu's parents were the first generation to be schooled and obtain an education. They didn't want Arivu to lose that chance.
If you become an artist, you become one cinema guy. If you become one guy, you will not read, you will not study, and also that place is not for us. Is what they feel because of the past experiences of many others trying and failing.
And how does Arivu feel about trying and succeeding in his destiny today?
I never decided this day I want to become a singer because singing is a part of storytelling for me. I need to tell my story to the world, so I took singing. That's all.
As we neared the end of our conversation, I had to ask if Arivu would perform one song for us in the studio, and he agreed. Here's Sanda Seivom, a song urging Tamilians to fight for justice.
They call me அறிவு நான் உங்க உறவு ஈக்வாலிட்டி தாங்க என் கனவு அம்பேத்கர் பெரியார் என்றைக்கும் அழியார் என் பாட்டை கொடுத்தது பகுத்தறிவு ஜனநாயகம் அட சுதந்திர நாட்டுக்கு அதுதான் முகம் மனுஷனை மதிக்கணும் அதுதான் மதம் They call me அறிவு நான் உங்க உறவு ஈக்வாலிட்டி தாங்க என் கனவு அம்பேத்கர் பெரியார் என்றைக்கும் அழியார் என் பாட்டை கொடுத்தது பகுத்தறிவு ஜனநாயகம் அட சுதந்திர நாட்டுக்கு அதுதான் முகம் மனுஷனை மதிக்கணும் அதுதான் மதம்.
In the next episode of Kalki Presents My Indian Life, Suyash Toshniwal busts myths and superstitions. He challenges miracle men and their claims to cure illnesses in India's smallest villages and towns.
हमारा ये क्लियर है कि हम किसी धर्म के खिलाफ नहीं हैं।
I'm not doing anything wrong.
किसी व्यक्ति के
I'm clear that I'm not against any religion or person.
जो गलत चीजें चल
I'm only against those who cause harm in the name of religion.
Kalki Presents My Indian Life is an All Things Small production for the BBC World Service. If you like this podcast, please hit the follow or subscribe button on your podcast app. You can find us on BBC World Service on Twitter and Facebook, or use the hashtag MyIndianLife with your comments and suggestions. Thank you for listening.